Welcome back to the Temple of Aphrodite Biodotis. Today is May 5th. It is the Sunday before Mother's Day. And for us here at the temple, it is a solemn day where we remember and try to uplift those in need. Today is National Infertility Survival Day. So we're going to look at our blog post. So Mother's Day is a celebration of motherhood, family, and it's a day that we venerate the creation of life. And the same kind of goes with Father's Day, right? It's a celebration of parents, parenthood, and, mothers playing a very large role in that bear the brunt of infertility. And it is not by chance that it is the Sunday prior to Mother's Day that we remember those who are infertile. Because not everyone is capable of procreation. And this is put even more poignantly when we look at the world around us as the earth itself is coming back to life with the arrival of spring. And this can leave a very large hole in people's lives, taking them into pits of despair and heartache, and can lead to depression and even low self-esteem in many cases. According to the CDC, quote, in the United States, among married women aged 15 to 45 years with no prior births, about 1 in 5, so approximately 19%, are unable to get pregnant after 1 year of trying, so that's called infertility. Also, about 1 in 4, approximately 26% of women in this group have difficulty getting pregnant or carrying a pregnancy to term, so that's called impaired fecundity. So slightly different terms, but it's all really kind of in the same basket. Unfortunately, many of these people suffer in silence. They suffer alone. And I'm just here to tell you that if you're one of these people, you're not alone. You don't need to distance yourself physically or psychologically, because there's a whole world out there of love and life and beauty. And it, like us here at the Temple of Aphrodite Biodotis, have not forsaken you. So do not forsake it. Even if you cannot create life, your identity as a mother, if that's what you want to be, can still be fulfilled. There are other ways that you can do that. One example is, there's a lot of children out there who are in dire need of a good mother, and that's not pushing anything on you. It's just a gentle suggestion. You can be a positive role model to a lot of people. There's, arguments to be made that sometimes the family you choose is closer than the family you're born into. So you can still have purpose in your life, and it can still, having a child, being a role model, can still bring you meaning. But, whatever you do, just understand that you don't have to struggle alone. And this problem itself is worldwide. It's not just here in the United States. According to the World Health Organization, quote, infertility affects millions of people and has an impact on their families and communities. Estimates suggest that approximately 1 in every 6 people of reproductive age, that being women and men both, worldwide experience infertility in their lifetime, end quote. So if you know someone who is going through this, we really need to work hard to help lift these people up with love and empathy. We need to be empathetic. We need to understand that, losing a loved one is one of the most painful experiences that most people can endure, and these people are enduring it time and time and time again. So, and even if you're not capable of empathy, putting yourself in someone else's shoes, you can at least be sympathetic, right? So, sympathy meaning, you give your condolences and you try to help what you can, even if you maybe aren't capable of putting yourself in their shoes. Because not everybody, again, not everyone can do that either. Uh, a Case for Women has this to say. Here are things that you can do or say for those who are experiencing infertility. So let them know that you're there for them. Validate their pain. Let them freely express sorrow. You yourself need to read about infertility so you can be informed when they need to talk and understand their situation. Remember them on Mother's Day and Father's Day, and I would add Parents' Day, because that is also a holiday, even though I don't suppose many people really follow it. Mother's Day and Father's Day being the predominant two holidays. Um, if they need help, when they have difficult appointments, going to the fertility clinic, going to the doctor's office, go with them. Support their decision to stop infertility treatments if that's what they want to do. And just ask them what it is that they want you to do to help. They might not want your help. And one thing about love is, or the one thing that we kind of want to instill with love is that it's unconditional, right? We're here with open arms to help people who want us to help them. And if they don't want us to help them, we can still stand here with open arms. There's no reason for us to close our arms. We're here for them when they need us. So it goes on, A Case for Women goes on to say, here, are things you don't want to do. So don't minimize their grief. Don't tell them you understand what they're going through. You don't, which in some cases is accurate. In other cases, again, I wouldn't agree with that, because most people can associate with losing a loved one. Almost everyone has had a loved one die. And while I wouldn't put them at the same level, I would say they're definitely in the same ballpark. Everybody experiences death. I'm only 34, and I don't have any grandparents. All of my grandparents are dead and gone. So, everybody experiences it. It's just, this is slightly different. Don't say they are just not to be parents, and I'll comment on that in a minute. Do not push adoption, or in vitro fertilization. So, if they want to do it, it's up to them, but don't push it. And I don't know if you read up here, I don't know if you saw it, but, gentle suggestion. Just saying, that is always an option. Don't ask, whose fault is it? And, obviously don't assume it's the woman's. I don't know why you would, because, again, it affects both men and women. Don't imply they're not trying hard enough. And, that might come from a person who doesn't know the scale of the problem. It might just be someone who's like, oh, so-and-so and I, we've been trying to knock out a baby here and we just can't seem to get it done, right? You as the other person, you might assume, oh, well, maybe you're not doing something right. Which is it's a valid a valid case. If the guy is wearing pants that are too tight, that's gonna definitely affect that. Um, that's a fairly simple fix, but something that's chronic, um, that's not something that can be fixed easily. So, you know, this here would be implying that you might know the full scale of the problem, but at any rate, just try to be supportive of it. Avoid anecdotes, which is always a good thing to do. Their example here, it's kind of stupid. Although I could maybe see someone out there in this crazy world saying that. And then don't grumble about any complaints that you have. I suppose that really wouldn't go to people who are themselves also having infertility problems. I They don't really specify that. But if you're fertile and you're having pregnancy problems, you are pregnant, therefore you're not infertile, I guess, is their point. So, uh, I close out the article basically saying that, you know, while not mentioning fate or destiny and suggesting that someone may not be destined or meant to have children, you know, while that might be hurtful, we have to understand, we have to come to terms that we are travelers on a journey and we don't always have control over that journey. We have to play the cards that life has dealt to us. Even with science, there's a lot of stuff that we simply can't do. I'll give you, well, an anecdote, I guess. It's not really an anecdote, but it kind of is. Um, there's this microbiologist, that I listen to on YouTube quite a bit. And he is constantly talking about gene editing software, mainly CRISPR. And basically, that, we've come to the point where we can edit DNA and fix problems, but the DNA remembers the problems. And so when it copies your DNA, when your cells split, mitosis, when they change, um, or not change, but when they multiply, it goes back and it puts that wrong, faulty gene back. Almost as though you were maybe meant to have it. And while I don't necessarily 100% believe in fate or destiny, um, if there was ever a case for it, I would say that would probably be some pretty strong evidence for it. Now, that being really an aside, we have to understand sympathy, we have to understand empathy, and while it is the position of our temple that being a good parent is one of, if not the highest calling a person can fulfill, that, not everyone is called to be a parent, or not everyone is even capable of being a good parent. And obviously, infertility is not the fault of the individual. And this is where we see faith coming into the equation. You have to trust the powers at B. And that's not science or the government. I'm referring to divinity, the goddess. I'm referring to the god. In our case, our patron is Aphrodite, Biodotis. That part, Biodotis, is the life giver or life bringer. She is the goddess of procreation. She is a midwife. She is the one who oversees the fertility, the procreation, and then the actual delivery of the child. And then even to some extent oversees the child in its early years. So we have to have faith, because again, we're not always in control. So whoever you have faith in, just rely on them that there is a plan, there is a path, and there is a purpose, even if we don't understand what that purpose is. In Christianity, there's this returning concept of why do good things happen, or excuse me, why do bad things happen to good people? Well, in Christianity, you have this concept of a cross to bear, right? You have a burden. How you carry that burden is an example for others to see and to feed off and to take inspiration from, right? You don't know who's watching. You don't know how what you're going through is going to affect you. There was actually a post on X on Twitter the other day where it was some inspirational quote about pain destroying you or something to that effect, and it's I pretty sure I quote tweeted it. It's not about giving into it. It's about it making you stronger, right? You can let it define you, or you can let it destroy you. And when you're just in this position, you really have no other choice. And just remember that being infertile does not make anyone any less of a person, but it forges them to be a stronger person. It is through suffering, because that's really what life is, in a kind of existential way. To think about it, life is suffering, and it's like a forge, it's a fire, right? And we have to walk through that fire. So we, as individuals, as families, as collectives, we need to help them who are infertile, or even not necessarily infertile. This is going beyond that, but we need to help them. And if it is us in this case, we need to accept the grief, tackle it, heal from it, and then grow beyond it. Because if you get stuck in that position where you're just stagnant, reliving it over and over and over and over, that's pretty close to PTSD at that point. That's pretty much what PTSD is. And so we have to grieve. We have to come to terms, come to grips. We have to heal, and then we have to grow beyond it. For those who are in grief, who are grieving, or who want to help, there was a good book that came across my Twitter feed the other day. I've listened to it. There is a link you can click on right here that'll take you to Audible. It's a book called As Long as You Need Permission to Grieve by J.S. Park. And it's a good book. I'm not going to spoil it. I might do a review on it at some point, but look at it. It's a fairly decent read. And he's got good advice. So, I sincerely hope that this has given you, the reader, something to think about. Whether maybe you are the one suffering from infertility, or if you know someone who's suffering from infertility, or even if you're just like me, you're a bleeding heart and you want to help somebody. I hope that this will encourage you to do some good in the world, spread love, and lift up those in need. Because, one day, it might be us in need. Or rather, it might be you. So, with that said, we have a prayer that we are going to offer up to Aphrodite. And I know it's a bit small on your screen, but I shall read it for you. Aphrodite, goddess of love, beauty, and fertility, we come before you today on National Infertility Survival Day, hearts heavy with longing. Many yearn to create a family, to experience the wonder of new life, but for some, the path is long and shrouded in uncertainty. We acknowledge the pain of infertility, the ache in our arms, and the emptiness in our homes. Yet, we hold onto hope, believing in your power to bring love and life together. Bless those struggling with infertility. Grant them the strength and resilience to carry on and the faith to keep love alive. Fill them with the courage to face challenges and the wisdom to navigate difficult decisions. We pray you might remove obstructions from those seeking alternative paths to parenthood, adoption, or fostering. Guide them on their journeys and bless the families they create. Aphrodite, Maya, you embody the beauty of creation in all its forms. Remind us that families come in many shapes and sizes, and that love is the strongest foundation for any home. In the name of the goddess, so mote it be. I hope that this finds all of you well, and for those of you who are suffering, I hope that you understand you are not, and you are never, nor will you ever, be alone.